today, webinars. You can really niche down and get those target messages to the right audience. Can webinars help you hit your PR KPIs? I'm so glad you asked. They can, and today I'm going to walk you through how on this episode of Maybe Pod. We're opening up everything you need to know about how to harness webinars to inform, engage, and educate your target audiences. And we're so glad to have you here. My name is Clift, CEO and founder of Maybe Agency, an international public relations agency, bringing you today Maybe Pod. We drop a new episode every week and help you to understand and use PR most effectively. I like to call it your countercultural open PR playbook. So all the tips and tricks that you want to know about PR, we answer on this podcast. And today, webinars. And let's start simply, as we often do here on Maybe Pod, with a definition to help us understand exactly what a webinar is. Well, according to Zoom, webinars let you connect with large online audiences and share video, audio, and content from any location and device for better engagement. The difference between a webinar and a video conference meeting is that a webinar typically features one or several key speakers or presenters addressing a large audience, whereas a video conference is usually a smaller meeting that supports informal discussion between all participants. I think we can agree that's quite a clear definition. Webinars can be live or pre-recorded, and essentially they're an opportunity for you to present key information from your organization to a range of stakeholders virtually. The thing I'll add to this about webinars is that they can have a Q&A format, but they're largely less interactive than other types of presentation formats because of the large audiences that are normally in attendance. So now we know what a webinar is, how do we use it in practice, and how do they inform our clients' PR strategies? And why should you be using webinars? Well, again, lucky you asked, I have two concrete examples. The first is the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia, or PCFA. They are a client of ours at Maybe Agency, and we are part of their team hosting regular webinars on anything and everything to do with prostate cancer. So they launched essentially a series across YouTube and Spotify that focus on different seasons, and it's all about educating and informing their audiences. What I love about these webinars is that they're topical and they're thematic, and they range from panel discussions to one-on-one interviews or sort of ask the expert explainers. And they focus on key topics that are key and crucial to PCFA's mission: support, awareness, and fundraising. And they surface topics as wide-ranging and informative as updates to prostate cancer screening guidelines, new research, support for complications after prostate cancer treatment, and emerging and new technologies in the field, and advice for survivors and their families. So as you can see, a whole range of different topics that they cover season by season. And what does it allow PCFA to do? Well, it allows them to creatively, in a visual way, reach patients, advocates, and supporters, and the general public about their key messages. They're well engaged with, and they're not too heavy a lift, so they don't commit to weekly episodes or monthly episodes, just when and as needed. Then that allows them to be flexible to produce the episodes when they're required from a topical perspective. As I said too, because it's a niche audience and it's a niche topic, prostate cancer, although you can have so many messages within that one topic, they're so well engaged with because they're targeting a very niche audience. There's one example of how webinars are used extremely well. The other is a little bit different. So St. John Ambulance, also a client of ours at Maybe Agency, and we've worked very closely with St. John Ambulance England on a number of LinkedIn Lives throughout a number of campaigns in the past couple of years. So again, similar to PCFA, this webinar style is being used by St. John to educate their different target audiences and get their messages out to the general public through a LinkedIn Live format. So different to PCFA, they're pre-recorded, a LinkedIn Live is obviously live. This is a really great way to capture a broad audience and utilize your social media channels and followers. Also, the benefit of LinkedIn Lives is one example. It doesn't have to be on LinkedIn, but this type of webinar format is you can gather data on the people that attend the webinar. So they register, they subscribe, and you can often keep communicating with them long after the webinar is finished. You're often also able to see who signs up, who engages in real time, and obviously with the video as it's distributed after the fact as well. And I'll say LinkedIn specifically, LinkedIn Lives are great if you want to target sort of that workplace type of audience. So if it's professionals you want to target, specific job titles, specific industries, it's a really great way to use it on that platform, LinkedIn, to achieve that. You can really niche down and get those target messages to the right audience. So in the case of St. John, very specifically, one of the more recent LinkedIn Lives we did was focused on Martin's Law in the UK. and what it meant for local businesses. Martin's Law essentially calls for stronger workplace safety and emergency readiness. And so what better platform can you think of to reach organizations, to educate them on this law, to educate them about this courses that St. John offer, than LinkedIn? And with a visual webinar that's giving value to those audiences on that platform. People tuning in on LinkedIn can also cause growth across your network as well. So when people engage, it can extend the algorithm beyond your initial list of invitees and get more people to your page or to the webinar itself. So 2 great examples, but rapid fire. Why should you consider using webinars as part of your PR toolkit? Well, they help you shape the news cycle. What's great about hosting a webinar is you're not necessarily reacting to the news, you're creating a narrative, and you get to control that narrative. Webinars are owned media and owner influenced. Again, it means you control the narrative, the framing, the context, the speakers. That's particularly helpful for a lot of nonprofits and international organizations. They build authority with the right audiences. So that's anything from the general public through the funders, donors, or supporters. They generate measurable engagement with your stakeholders, and they're relatively cost effective, especially compared to big physical events. You're able to achieve a very large audience at a minimal cost. So there you have it, why your nonprofit or international organization should consider using webinars as a regular strategic PR tool, plus specific examples on how to do it well. We love to do that here at Maybe Pod, again, equipping you to understand and use public relations most effectively. We drop a new episode of this pod every week, talking anything and everything PR. And next week, we're delving into letters to the editor. What exactly are they, and when should you be using them? When should you ever write directly to an editor of a publication? We're going to answer that question next week. Thanks for joining us today on Maybe Pod. Hit like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.